Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to this moment of reflection that I just really wanted to share. This message just came through me this morning as I was sitting and reflecting on life and existence as I do every day. This message really felt strong and something that I feel really passionately about, and I think many of you will connect with, and I'm hoping will offer some, like a big hug to anybody going through a season of transition or change in life. You know what I'm talking about. Those seasons of life where sometimes it's a few weeks, sometimes it's a few years, where there is something being lost and something being gained, where there is a change in the way that you're moving through the world, whether that's from the loss of a loved one, or a change in career, or a change in location, or a change in the way you're connecting with yourself. There's so many ways that these big transitional seasons come into our lives, and they are essential to our lives. They show up throughout our lives from the time we're very little all the way through. And they are, I think, the core of life. There's something that culturally we're kind of taught in stories and movies and stuff that it's just something to get through and get to the other side of, right? And that's such an unrewarding framework to look at it, because there's seasons of transition are an important and beautiful part of our lives. And while they're not always the season that we're in, there are times where, while there's small transitions at all times, there are also times of like more stability, or really working on a project long term that feels like it's building and culminating. And then there is those seasons where we are, kind of letting go of old identities or old ways of seeing ourselves in the world that are really poignant and often come with grief, confusion, and a sense of not really knowing what's next, right? It's kind of like being a newborn in the world, but as a person, a full-grown person. And I think many of you know exactly the season of transformation I am talking about. And I wanted to bring this topic up, and just take a moment to say this. If you are in a season of going through a transition, change, loss, confusion, grief, any of those things, it's okay to accept exactly where you are within that season of transition and process. You are totally allowed to embrace and accept and be at peace with where you are in that process. And I say this because often what I've noticed in myself and in people that I've worked with, and in my friends and people around me, we spend a lot of our energy when we're going through a really deep transition, right? Where there is grief and there are these deep, powerful emotions moving through, including joy and excitement, but there's a lot going on. We spend a lot of our energy saying we should be somewhere else in the process. So saying like, we should be further along in it. I should be better at handling this topic by now. I should have this skill set by now. I should be fine with the way things have changed by now. I should know what the next step is, right? We spend a lot of energy when we're in transitional seasons saying those shoulds to ourselves. And that's painful. It also means that we are taking this transitional experience we're going through, we're judging it, and we're putting it on the unwanted pile. So we're telling our bodies, and we're telling our spirits, and we're telling our minds over and over again, I don't want the way that I'm experiencing this transitional time in my life. And that's also painful. And I'm not saying we need to be celebrating and being manic and excited about where we are in a process, because transitions are complex and every day has slightly different flavors to them, right? It's never just like a single note tone, but it's okay to just be where we are. It's okay to just say, this is where I am today. I am moving slow. I don't know what's next. I am feeling still sad about the thing that was lost, the experience that was lost, or what have you. Or I am feeling not quite ready to start the next chapter. I am feeling a little nervous to put my foot in that new space right now. I need some rest, right? Like when we do that, we release a huge part of the true pain, which is that self-judgment and the shoulds. Also, this is what I'd say: when we accept where we are in a process, we are challenging cultural cookie cutter ways of seeing value and process and the creative journey of transitioning through life. We are rebelling against these tiny definitions of what it means to have worth in life. And this is important because with that should and that judgment stuff that I was just talking about, part of that is that we feel we need to fit into a narrative of what transitioning looks like, what grieving looks like, what change looks like, what learning looks like, that is tidy, that kind of goes along with this narrative arc of this lead character who just gets through like a really uncomfortable training session and then is good at this thing and then accomplishes the mission. And I want to complicate that because I don't feel that that is actually a soulful life. A soulful life is going to continue to be this undulation of emotion and experience. So when we take off the pressure to fit it into this cookie cutter, perfect little storyline that places our unknowing, our confusion, or any of the complex emotions that come with transitions into this like perfect bookend where you have a pretty beginning and a pretty ending, you let yourself get more creative in this transitional zone. And as you take that pressure off, as you take those cultural lenses off, you're able to access more of your creative power in your life and to really be present for these transitional seasons of life. Finally, the final message I wanted to bring in this discussion is that once we've released those things, once we've stopped putting those pressures on ourselves to have a transitional time, season, change in our life, look a certain way, we can start to acknowledge what this season, what we're doing, what we're actually doing in this season, right? So often when you are in a season of transition, you're in a season of change, you're in a season of an unknowing, learning new skill sets, figuring out who you are, kind of relearning yourself, coming home to yourself. The kinds of things that are actually going on are things like, these are some examples: healing generational wounds, rewriting painful stories, replacing painful stories with new understandings of who we are, properly allowing old emotions to process through the body and be released, recognizing our true selves, having a better understanding of cyclical processes and the use of time in our society and our culture, and seeing the world through our own lenses, and rather than all these lenses that we're trying to get ourselves to see from every other vantage point. So those are just some of the examples of things that are often happening here in these transitional zones and these seasons of life. These are powerful, poignant, wonderful, valuable, important things that don't get acknowledged enough, I think, in this process of life. They're subtle, they're quiet, they're the things that you do at the end of the day when you lay down and you let an emotion run through your body, right? That isn't going to be something that you go out for a walk on the street and there's like a singing montage, right? It's not going to be something that somebody's going to give you a blue ribbon for. It's not going to be this tidy, nice, novelistic bookend to your process, right? And that is a good thing. That's a powerful thing. So that's it. I mean, it's a really simple, clear message that was coming through for me that I wanted to just share. I'm personally going through a very long transitional season in my life. I'm like 2 years into, and who knows how long time of really coming home to myself and literally changing location in the world and the way I see and coming home to myself. It's a really powerful time. And so I've been thinking about this topic a lot. And I know so many are going through their own version of transition, change, transformation, growth, loss, gain, learning, unlearning. And so I think because this is such an essential part of life, it's something that the more comfortable we get with it, the more grace we bring to it, the more we're going to be able to be at peace in this life and really show up to ourselves in seasons that I think we often want to just put on the discard pile and say this was a lost year or a lost season. And I think that these are some of the most powerful medicinal seasons and can be ones of great beauty, healing, growth, art, discovery, connection, love, all those beautiful things. So I'm sending you so much love, my friends. I do chats around these topics on my Patreon, and I offer a lot of extra support. So if you're looking for a cozy place to go, I'll leave that below, as well as all the other places you can find me. I hope you're having a beautiful morning, evening, night, afternoon, wherever or whenever you're watching this. I am just sending you so much love, and I hope you are taking good care of yourself, and sending you my love.